What do you say, everybody? Welcome to the Bama Insider YouTube channel. It's time for Monday Night Quarterback with Trey Yanity. I'm Mick Gillispie. Chris Daughtry is our producer tonight, and we appreciate you being here on a Monday with a lot to talk about. And before we get into anything else, please do us a big-time favor, like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up. Share with your friends. Monday Night Quarterback, 6 o'clock every Monday. We've been doing that throughout football season. And football season, Trey, has been extended because Alabama took care of business. They beat Cincinnati. Georgia knocked off Michigan. An all-SEC national championship game again this year. It's happened before, and it's going to happen again next week. But first, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Mick. And it's, great to be back on here. Great to see you guys. Like you said, get in the comments, hit that like button. It goes a long way. As we roll into this new year now, it's, it's going to be an interesting, week now, 7 days until this national title game, because, the first time there's a lot of different storylines and a lot of stuff we're going to get into tonight, talking about this matchup and how the narratives have shifted. Excited to, kind of get into the sound and everything else as well. But, this is going to be a different Georgia team than Alabama played the first time. They're going to come with a little bit more aggression. This is their opportunity. They know they have to take advantage, but hey, it's Alabama too. So, a lot to talk about. Excited to get into it. How was your New Year?
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you if you made any New Year's resolutions.
A couple. I've been getting to the gym a little bit more. I'm, trying to eat a little bit more milk, drink a little bit more milk, I guess. I got a haircut too, so there's something.
I probably need to do the same thing with the haircut, but I try to let it go and flow outside of baseball season.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, look, working out is always part of the, January formula. I work out every day anyway, but not today. It was freezing cold here in Fairhope. We didn't get snow like they did in Tuscaloosa or around the big chunk of the country. But my bones, you get under 50 degrees and they're like, probably not going to run today.
Yeah.
So we'll get back at it again tomorrow. But it's exciting. This is an exciting time right now because I feel like Alabama winning their game puts them in position to get a championship that I wasn't expecting them to get, although they have an enormous mountain to climb. And let's start with Michigan against Georgia and kind of get into that game first. I know it was the second game on the docket. Was not surprised at all. It was Michigan not being fast enough, not being able to move the football, and being dominated by Georgia.
It really was. And this wasn't something that I necessarily foreshadowed a game like this, 34-11, a real blowout. And I think it was 27-3 at the half. So Michigan, like you said, was never in this game. And I think that's a matchup thing, which is why I was kind of excited to see Alabama play Georgia throughout the season, because it was a really good matchup for Alabama. Kind of saw the writing on the wall here. And, this game being the later one is supposed to be the more exciting game. But, again, we see the SEC get back to the title, two teams representing the conference yet again. And, it's becoming laughable at this point to think what the SEC has done, throughout college football, and the fact that the playoff has come around, and people thought that might change things a little bit. We might see, some new schools in there. The SEC is still dominating, winning national championship after national championship. And, maybe this is Georgia's year, but in the semifinal game, I don't know if Georgia gives that kind of effort in the national title, is going to be able to beat this Dogs team, because they looked elite in that game. Now, Alabama looked elite too. We're going to get into that matchup a little bit more, but Georgia just does so much right offensively. They make so many good decisions. And I think Stetson Bennett kind of moving into that role this year has allowed them to do that. Because, when it was JT Daniels, had maybe a higher ceiling, a little bit more of a spark factor there at times, but Stetson Bennett's been your steady, consistent quarterback, the true definition of the position, the leader of the team, the leader of the offense, called plays well, and, has put himself in position to win a national title here. We heard him today, in his press conference, just kind of talking about what this means. And that's really where I think the difference is going to come in this national title. I think it was the difference in Georgia, Michigan, what this means to Georgia fans. They haven't celebrated a national title since 1980. And, the last time they were in the semifinal, they played Oklahoma in Pasadena, had a quick turnaround. And it didn't feel like it was necessarily going to be Georgia's year. This is Georgia's year. Michigan was kind of a fun story, a little bit of a Cinderella down the stretch here. They beat Ohio State, won the conference, got to this spot. But, I don't think anybody would have told you that Michigan had a serious chance to, to win this game. I think everybody would have told you they could have competed. This was going to be a really good game, which I thought myself. But at the end of the day, Georgia has an elite team this year. And everybody, Alabama, the media, the fans, everybody knows what this Georgia team is capable of. We've seen what this defense has done, doing it again against Michigan on Friday night there, with not the most potent offense in the world, but a talented enough offense in a playoff game. They made a statement. It's not to say Alabama didn't, but, Georgia's here. There's no doubt about it.
Zaire White, great running back. Stetson Bennett had an excellent game quarterbacking, which he didn't against Alabama, but Michigan didn't get a pass rush, so we really don't know. I mean, like he was able to sit back in the pocket. They were able to run the ball, establish that, get the lead. They did everything that they normally do. And Michigan honestly looked slow against Georgia. And you know what? Maybe it's a starting point, like Jim Harbaugh said, for them, the beginning of something, because Michigan got on the big stage, finally got past Ohio State. It was a fun story. But Georgia had a focus to get to this game, this championship game, and I'm sure they knew that Alabama would be there. Oh, yeah, of course they did. That's because Alabama played the game before them against Cincinnati. Alabama in their game was able to, just like Georgia, dominate, and a convincing 27-6 victory in a game plan that was very academic.
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of the game we expected. We wanted maybe a more of an exciting matchup if you're just a fan of college football, but this was Alabama being Alabama, and this was a Group of 5 school getting their first chance in the playoff. We all kind of expected it to be a snooze fest, and I don't know if we expected Alabama's defense to come out and look as good as they did against Desmond Ridder, against Jerome Ford, and, some of the weapons that they have on offense. But, Alabama's defense may be the hottest defense in the country right now. I think Georgia's defense maybe has the most weapons still, but Alabama's defense has just been so elite. I think we could see a national title that looks like it's from maybe 2004, 2005, rather than one in 2021, because this could be kind of a low-scoring game. But, not to turn the page yet. I think Cincinnati came out, did what they could. They just got outmanned. And that's what Alabama does when they're playing schools like Cincinnati, where, similar kind of structure to the team, but Alabama's just got a little bit better personnel and a little bit more depth as well. And that's something our producer Chris and I talked about today. Look at this outside linebacker position for Alabama. I mean, think about if there wasn't that elite depth there. If Chris Allen goes out in the first quarter of the season and you can't turn to Drew Sanders, then he goes out later in the season and you can't turn to Dallas Turner. I mean, having the depth that Alabama does, that's always just going to be an X factor in a game when you're playing a Group of 5 school, or a school that doesn't recruit at the level that Alabama does. Not to say that, because you have a 3-star, you're not as talented, but you don't have, maybe the room as a whole. You don't have the depth, of 3 stars or 4 stars that a school like Alabama can have. But, hats off to Cincinnati. Hats off to Luke Fickell, Desmond Ridder, this whole team, because incredible season. And to think that, we did see a Group of 5 school in and of itself is just amazing. And, that's something that I thought was really cool about kind of the way that Cincinnati approached this whole thing too. They weren't trying to be the flag bearers for the Group of 5. They weren't looking at it like,
right,
we're this big underdog. We have to climb this crazy mountain, because they did, no doubt about it. They're playing Alabama, the number 1 seed in the college football playoff. But, they treated it like they're one of the guys. They're supposed to be here. And I don't necessarily think we saw them play that way at times. They maybe Desmond Ridder doubted some of his decisions, and it led to some, poor throws down the stretch there. I thought he could have ran the ball a little bit more in that game as well. But, overall, Alabama did Alabama, and it was, just as boring as we expected it to be.
Well, they were knocking down a lot of passes. I mean, don't forget that. Even at 6'3", Ridder had a lot of his passes knocked down, and the pass rush was I'd say this, both sides of the ball, Alabama dominated, whether it was, the bull rush, giving Brian Robinson lanes to run through, or the defense just in the backfield. And I think that that's the problem with, bringing in teams from the Group of 5 is, they just don't have the manpower up front to compete with teams like Alabama. And I mean, you want me to be honest, Cincinnati, they would probably be 8-4 in the SEC. I mean, they lose to teams like Arkansas and Ole Miss, and they'd probably win some games too. But to put them in that schedule that they played on the same caliber as anyone in the SEC West in particular, is a joke. And I mean, other teams that played a big time schedule that lost a game and didn't get that opportunity, I'm sure looking at it and saying, hey, you know what, we probably should have been there. But the thing is, Cincinnati's going to be in the Big 12 anyway, so they got a great coach, and we'll probably see them again. All right, before we switch gears, guys, I want you to do me a favor and congratulate guys like Jersey Dolphins celebrating 3 years being part of our channel. We want you to celebrate being here as well, because we really appreciate all of you guys that hang out with us. Have a great time in the comments section tonight. We're keeping an eye on that. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the Bama Insider YouTube channel. 70,000 subscribers. We're going to try to get, as Kyle says, hey, man, let's get as many as it are in Bryant-Denny Stadium. So what is it, 105,000? I mean, that would be awesome. We're moving in that direction. And a big roll tide to you Jersey Dolphins and all you guys that are hanging out with us tonight. All right, let's talk about the rematch now. We know that Alabama's in. We know that Georgia's in. They were both dominant. This is a collision course that I felt like college football was on from the very beginning. These were the two teams that I was keeping an eye on from day one. Alabama played poorly throughout the season, but still found the way to win every game except Texas A&M. Georgia never played poorly except that game against Alabama. And they had a defensive struggle against Clemson at the beginning of the year, but that was a Clemson team that at that point had, a national ranking and expectations of playing in the national championship or in the college football playoff. Look, it wasn't the same team that Clemson had later on, and they won that game in a slugfest. Looking at this rematch next Monday in Indianapolis, your thoughts?
This game, I just get more and more excited every day thinking about it. And, for a lot of different reasons. First and foremost, it's Alabama versus Georgia. This has turned into one of the most fun matchups, rivalry series, whatever you want to call it, in the last even half decade, let alone the regular series history. Just talking about some of the memories, that you think of, the Tua play and, the Jalen comeback and the Josh Jacobs game in that SEC title. And even last year's regular season game against Georgia. And, of course, this SEC championship this year. It's really been fun to be an Alabama fan when you watch these two teams play. Alabama's dominated recently, but, that's what makes this matchup so fun for Georgia fans as well. This is your chance. This is your opportunity to get over that hump. This is the second time you get to play this team this season. So you've already been able to, kind of get the playbook to an extent, do your homework and, really put everything into this. And Stetson Bennett said something today that kind of got me even more excited. Somebody asked him, do you think Alabama's going to do anything differently? Are they going to, pull some rabbits out of the hat? Are they going to try some trickery to win this game? And Stetson Bennett basically said, I don't think so, because it's Alabama. This isn't Arkansas. This isn't Cincinnati. This is Alabama. They have the best players. They have the best coach. They know how to win games. They don't have to do anything crazy to beat you. And, on the other side of that coin, he said, we're Georgia. We're maybe the best team in the country this year. We have the best defense. We have a great coach as well and a pretty dang good offense. So, why not? Why can't we just go out there like 11 play on 11 and, see who executes? And, if somebody doesn't execute and there's a wrinkle, who solves that wrinkle first? I think that's what this game's going to be. Line them up and just let talent play against talent. Cincinnati, that game, I thought we might see, a fake punt or a fake field goal or just some kind of trickery from Cincinnati that kind of spiced that game up a little bit. I think this game is so exciting because it's going to be classic football between two powerhouses for a national title. And that, doesn't include all of the other storylines of Georgia needing to beat this and Kirby versus Nick Saban and everything else going into this game and the personal storylines as well for the players. This is just a really, really fun matchup. I think Michigan would have been a great game too with the history there, but I don't think you could ask for a better matchup for the national title.
How about the fact that Michigan was favored against Alabama last time? It was like 7.5. I thought that they should have been a 14-point favorite. Shows you what I know. But just the way that they had played the entire year and the way that Alabama went into that game, it wasn't crazy to think that Georgia was going to be able to have their way against Alabama. And then we saw what happened in that game. And Vegas comes out and the odds are 3 and Georgia's still favorite.
Yeah, this game is 31 days, 30 days later than the last one. But, those 30 days meant a lot. And there's some other storylines that are kind of popping up here. Jay Valai potentially heading to Oklahoma. And, Bill O'Brien, potentially replacing Urban Meyer there in Jacksonville. So, some things that could potentially affect the team are coming up now that maybe didn't come up earlier in the season. You look at this matchup, you're not going to have John Mechie for the entirety of this game. You're going to have to change some things on offense. You're probably going to have to start J.C. Latham again. And I think that's a great move. I love seeing J.C. Latham play. So just little things in this game could make the difference, or make this game look different at least. But at the end of the day, it's football. And I think Jarvis made a great point earlier. If you force Stetson Bennett to throw the football, if you don't let that running back room do what they can do, I think Alabama's going to have a pretty good chance to win. This game, it's a cliche to say football is won in the trenches and, it's won up front. This game will truly be won with the offensive and the defensive line. Stetson Bennett can make the throws. He's capable. But if he's, pressured, he's not going to be able to. If you're able to stop the run with that defensive front, you're going to be in a really good spot. On the other side of that, Bryce can handle pressure well, but we've seen games like Auburn, even kind of the start of the Cincinnati game, didn't have a lot of time to throw the football and, kind of put Alabama in a tough spot down the stretch in those games. So not in Cincinnati at least, but the Auburn game, you have to win in the trenches. I think that is uber important for this game, maybe more than it's been the entire season. Alabama did that to a T last time. That's why they beat Georgia the first time around.
There they are. Look, on the screen, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart next to the national championship trophy. And I wonder if that's got to be from last time they played in 2017. Of course, Alabama with the stunning victory. So Georgia has a lot of reason to want revenge in this football game. And I agree with you. I think this is the best possible matchup that you could have in the college football playoff and the national championship, because by far these are the two best teams, and the Saban Kirby Smart rivalry is some of the games have been absolutely tremendous, including that game where Tua comes off the bench to stun Georgia. Although the last two times Alabama has dominated the second half of the football game and ran right past the Georgia Bulldogs. Guys, give us a thumbs up and subscribe as you hang out with us on Monday Night Quarterback. Our show is brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums right there in Tuscaloosa, next to Bryant-Denny Stadium, 200 feet next to Bryant-Denny Stadium. We'll talk more about them later on in the show, but find out information right now at westgateal.com. All right, Alabama's team young. Weren't expecting, I wasn't, that Alabama would really be able to live up to the billing. They came into the season number one in the country, but they lost so many players from last year's team, including the Heisman Trophy winning wide receiver, NFL starting quarterback who might be rookie of the year, another receiver who might be rookie of the year. I mean, look, it's going to be between a couple of Alabama guys for the rookie of the year, between Waddle and Mac Jones. They lost an NFL running back that's over 1,000 yards, right? And Najee Harris. I mean, so many issues coming into the season based on guys that left and who was going to step up. But here they are in the spot again to be champions, and they're doing it, Trey, with this unbelievable sophomore class.
It's truly incredible. And, before I get into this, I have to recognize the fact that the Crystal Ball Trophy, the one before the one you're seeing on your screen there, was the ultimate college football championship trophy. This one's nice, but it doesn't quite take the cake the same way. So
you don't like this one as much, huh?
I don't like this one quite as much. It's clean. It's clean. I like the logo overall. It's a cool trophy, but the crystal ball, I mean, come on, you're holding it up. It's just a better trophy in general. But
the Tiffany's crystal, huh?
Yeah, exactly. But it's incredible to see what Alabama is doing in the NFL and the fact that they were able to replace all of those guys. And got to give a shout out real quick too to my guy Jamar Chase, as I'm sure he's watching our show tonight. But won me my fantasy league yesterday, so a lot of Bama guys having success. Glad that Jamar could be as well. But rookies in the NFL have kind of been the story this year, and for Alabama, it's been the same story. You look at certain guys that have just kind of been thrown into the fire, the Dallas Turners of the world, the Kool-Aid McKinstries of the world, J.C. Latham even this week. It's just crazy to see how quickly they're able to adjust to the college game. And, we hear Nick Saban talk about preparation and practice and, that's where it's won or that's where you earn it. These guys fully embody that because when they get on the field in a game, they look like they've, been playing for 2 years. And I think that this team absolutely had to have one guy, maybe two guys in that sophomore class step up. And we kind of knew who those characters were going to be. But, at the beginning of the season, I don't even know if I would have told you that we would have seen this kind of leadership from Bryce Young and this kind of leadership from Will Anderson. And, the fact that this team gets to come back next year, it should be illegal. Honestly, the college football playoff should ban Alabama. This team is going to be outrageous next season. But overall, it's just so nice to see guys, wait their turn and get their opportunity like Brian Robinson. But guys, maybe that are thrown into the fire, just take advantage of it and, really take the reins. And I think we're going to see that, in this national title. Some guys are going to have to be called on. We saw Kyrie Jackson kind of get thrown in there after the Jobe injury, and, he handled it very well. So I hope we see the same. Dallas Turner is maybe my favorite player on this team now. He's just so fun to watch on the outside. And, this defense as a whole is kind of young with the replacements, but so hot. Very fun to watch.
Jersey Dolphins, $10, man. We appreciate the super chat. Thank you, my friend. I'm curious to see who Trey is picking to win this natty. Thanks, fellas.
Man, I just hope they all have fun out there, Jersey, to be honest with you, man. I think it's I'm going to wait. Jersey, come on our score prediction show on Thursday night, and we're going to break it down there. I still don't know, to be honest with you, man. I'm trying to figure this thing out just like everybody else. I have I have a lean right now, but join us on Thursday night, and we will get into that. And I want your score prediction as well on that show. But overall, like I said, this could not be a better matchup for the national title.
Yeah, love the idea of seeing Alabama and Georgia today. Trey, Nick Saban, and Will Anderson, and what was it, Kirby Smart. There were a bunch of guys that had the opportunity to talk, and we're going to see that throughout the next week, 10 days, right? When Nick Saban and those guys are going to talk at the press conferences. So, I mean, what did you hear today? And do you have any clips that you want to play for us to take a look at?
Yeah, the first clip I want to get into is just kind of a funny clip. And it's really something that's kind of been along the lines of what we've been talking about tonight. Alabama's headspace in Georgia's mind right now. What is the present? Somebody asked today about a boogeyman. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw this on social media, everything else. Let me get this clip up here because, this is absolutely golden stuff.
Kind of about the dynamic that Alabama occupies, or like kind of the mental space it occupies in the heads of either your coaching staff, your players. It seems like it's sort of the Crimson Tide have taken on a sort of bogeyman quality for Georgia in that they are the benchmark to which, this program is often compared, but also one that has seemed to always get the best of your team. How do you handle that kind of mental dynamic when you're preparing your athletes to play them, for the second time in such a short span?
First off, what is the bogeyman? What did you reference it as?
I said Alabama is a bogeyman to Georgia football.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what that is, so it's hard for me to answer that question other than they've also been a problem and a thorn in every single team they played besides just ours. So we have that in common with a lot of teams that have played them. They got a really good football team, really good coach, and a really good program. It starts with good football players, and they've done a great job at recruiting those. And I think when you look at the skill set of some of the guys they've had come through there, and I know myself just looking at the last 2 or 3 times we played them, I think somebody said either 6 or 7 first-round wideouts have all played, and that skill set is pretty unique. I don't think there's any team in the country that's had however many it's been, the run they've had on those, and that makes it, you got to play well. You got to play well in the red area. You got to play well situational football. You can't turn the ball over and expect to beat good football teams. And those are things that we have done when we played them. We turned it over, and we can't do that. But as far as the mental capacity and mental mindset of our guys, they're excited. They earned another opportunity to go play a really good football team. And we've got a really good football team. So our guys are physical, excited, and looking forward to this opportunity on the biggest stage there is.
All right, well, let me say one thing. First off, it's not the bogeyman. A bogey is like a golf term. It's the boogeyman, like the things that are in your nose, the boogeyman, not the bogeyman. And I think that was what confused Kirby, because he wasn't going to give in on the bogeyman because he didn't have to. She left the door open for him not to respond to it. If she would have said the boogeyman, it would have been the best question of the year. Maybe she got nervous, or maybe wherever she's from, they called it the bogeyman. But I've never heard it in my life as the bogeyman. It's the boogeyman. It's been the boogeyman my entire life. And that is a scary guy that lives under your bed or in your closet.
We Googled this. Kyle Henderson, our managing editor, sat down after this press conference and looked up, is bogeyman a legitimate word? And we couldn't find much, but then we saw this thread on Twitter, and this guy was saying that there's different dialects and there's different regions that use different things. Some people call it the boogie woogie, but whatever you call it, I'm right there with you, Mick. I think if she had said boogeyman, he answers this question. And, I think he kind of had to go to that defense mechanism, because that's something that, whether he wants to, accept it or not, probably is in his mental headspace to an extent. This has been the bane of his existence as a coach, the last mountain to climb, one that he hasn't been able to do. And, while every single program in the country does have to deal with Alabama, and it's a thorn in everybody's side, nobody's really talking about the time that Alabama beat Arkansas year after year. And, they're talking about Tennessee. That's a different story. But, nationally, all the time, people are talking about how Georgia can't beat Alabama, how Kirby Smart can't beat Nick Saban. So, I get his response, and it was funny to see him kind of play it off there to an extent. But I think that whether you want to deny it or not, there's just subconsciously, if nothing else, a piece of your mind that has that extra motivation to beat Alabama because of how personal this whole thing's been.
That's a great clip. Look, maybe somebody wrote that down for her, and she was just reading bogeyman. She didn't realize it was boogeyman. But with that said, it's a great question. It really was a great question. Too bad the delivery wasn't great, but the question was awesome, because I'm going to tell you right now, Nick Saban is the boogeyman for Kirby Smart and Georgia. Let me say that again. Nick Saban is the boogeyman, and he worries about it every day, and his team worries about it every day. I said it earlier in the season that Georgia does not want to play Alabama, because that was the one team that I thought would beat them. And then Alabama went into that game looking like a team that would not have a chance against them. And guess what happened? Still beat them. All right, let's go to the next clip here, Trey, because I don't want to be the bogeyman and miss an opportunity to hear what we got coming up next.
No doubt. And, one more point on that too. Alabama fans, think about it like this. If Kirby Smart had beat Nick Saban these last, 4 times in a row, how would you feel about Kirby Smart? You can deny it all you want, but I don't think there's any way around it. He's the boogeyman. It just is what it is. Next, why don't we go? There's an interesting clip that Will Anderson kind of spoke on today, talking about a high school coach and, kind of how he treats his game and, kind of the mentality he has with trophy season and everything else. I thought this was a cool clip to kind of, wrap up the award season here.
I had a conversation with my high school coach, and he was telling me that your body is your engine, and I'm a car. And the only thing you need to get going is that engine. And anything else that comes with it, any accolades, anything else, that's just to make you look nice. So as long as your engine is going in your car, you're fine. So for instance, me getting that Gillispie trophy, that was just a pair of rims on my car. It's not, so I think that's how you approach it. As long as your engine is there, you keep going on. Anything else, that's just to make you look nice. So when he broke that down to me and he explained that to me, I think that was one of the best things he could ever do. And it really opened my eyes a lot to me. And I was like, man, you're right. As long as I got my engine, that's all I need for my car to keep going. Anything else that comes along with it, that just makes it look nice. Like any accolades that come, that just make it look nice. But as long as you got the engine and the bigger piece of the bigger picture that, we wanted to reach the 3 goals that we said when you wanted to come to college, as long as you got those things, that's all we wanted. But anything else, yeah, it looks nice. And yeah, it's grateful. And yeah, we're blessed to have it. But as long as you got that engine, you're going to be all right. You're going to keep moving. So when he expressed that to me, man, it opened my eyes so much more. And I'm so blessed to have him. So it was good. So that was my bigger thing going into this game. I really couldn't focus on it. I had to help my teammates out. And we had to get down to business and make sure that we was good. So I couldn't worry about anything else, no Heisman, anything like that. None of that stuff really motivates me to, play any more than I already do. I have my own self-motivation, the only stuff that I have to motivate me to help me play. And I think that's what helps me.
All right, he's become the new Najee Harris, right? Najee last year was the guy that you loved to hear him at the press conferences. He was funny. He was smart. He gave you a bunch of different stories. But I think Will Anderson, instead of rims, it's that jacket. That was sweet. I mean, there's not a lot of like Alabama gear that I really ever look at and want. And part of it was because I spent so much time at Alabama with the Crimson Tide Sports Network. And you get all this stuff. and I've got a lot of stuff. I don't really need anything else, but I don't have one that looks like that. That jacket is sweet, and I would rather take that on my car than rims, right? No, great analogy there for him talking about what motivates him.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool to kind of, give your high school coach some credit there too. I think a lot of people think you get into Alabama, you start working with Nick Saban, and he completely makes your game. It's cool to hear guys kind of give it back to the high school there to an extent. And I don't want to get on my TED talk here, but I think that's a good way to look at life. I mean, the awards, you can have the accolades and the recognition and everything else, but what are you doing? Is your engine running? Are you doing the best you can? And that's truly how Will Anderson plays football. I mean, he's really not worried about the NIL deals. Not worried about this, that, whatever that can distract him from his game, because he's just so focused on playing football and is such a monster. We got another Will Anderson clip here because, like you said, I mean, just such a fun guy to listen to. This one kind of just about the mindset, of Alabama. This one a little bit longer here. I'm just going to start his opening press conference. I like his first couple of answers, and then we can take him down here. But, just a little bit more Will Anderson for the Monday night.
Reminder to everyone on the call, use the raise hand function if you're interested in asking a question. I don't know if some of the people may still be in the queue from Coach Saban. If you are, and do not have a question for Will, please lower your hand. Again, now joining us is linebacker Will Anderson Jr., the defensive player of the game from the Cotton Bowl Classic. Will, thank you for joining us. We will open it up to questions. The first question will come from Chip Howard. Chip?
How much?
I think you got muted there, Chip.
There I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry about that. Will, how much do you think you guys have improved since the Auburn game at the end of the regular season?
I think we've improved so much. The communication's been good. Paying attention to details has been good. Everybody on the same page has been good. So, we just want to keep building off of that and keep it rolling to the national championship.
Next, we'll hear from Nick Kelly. Nick?
Hey, Will, just want to ask you, last time, obviously, you guys had a lot of defensive success, but one of the guys for Georgia who provides some problems is Brock Bowers, their tight end. What do you guys need to do this time around to make sure he doesn't have as much of an effect?
We haven't really talked yet, but as far as what we experienced last game from him and, coming to this game, he's a tremendous athlete. He can make plays really long, very athletic. So I think the key is just, paying attention to his playing style and making sure that we do a great job of covering him and making sure he doesn't get too loose. And, the game plan that we put in, we just play our game and just make it as effective as it can be.
Next up will be Chip Towers. Chip?
Yeah, Will, obviously you guys had a lot of success against Georgia last time. How do you think that affects this game? I mean, do you expect to see them do totally different things, or do you expect them to try to improve on things that they didn't do well? And what about you guys? I mean, do you approach it exactly the same second time around?
That was last game. We have to focus on this game. It's going to be a whole totally new game, new area, new setting, everything. So, we're going to see something different that we probably haven't seen before. We have to be prepared for it. We're going to approach this game like we always approach every game, same mindset, same intensity, same energy. We're not going to try to do anything other than what we already do. We're just going to go out there and play Alabama football.
Ooh, there we go. I like that clip right there. All right, so Will Anderson talking in the press conference. Obviously, they were having problems with their microphones, but when they got going, the last thing he said was, last game does not matter, Trey. It's all about this matchup right here.
Yeah, that's the clip I love so much because, this is really how this Alabama team thinks. They say this stuff and, I'm sure there's some coaching before the press conferences, kind of talk about mentality, this, that, whatever, but they believe it. They go out and they practice just as hard as they're going to play in the game, maybe even harder. And, like I said earlier, I don't know if this game is going to be one where, you can out scheme a team or anything like that. It's just going to be so much talent on the field. There's going to be little things where you can get an advantage as a coach or, in your schemes. But, this game is truly going to be about preparation. Who's more ready? Really, who wants it more too? And, when you talk to a guy like Will Anderson, you can tell he wants it more than anybody. Great stuff there. And I think we have some Nick Saban as well we can get into. I got a clip first, or we can go to the full press conference. Your choice tonight, Mick.
Yeah, well, let's do a clip. But first, Will Anderson has been the guy that Nick Saban has kind of leaned on with this team to be the leader and the voice, right? And there were some times where he was pretty frustrated at the way that the team was performing, and he talked about it in the press conferences. Remember earlier in the year where he just kind of stood there, they asked him a question, and he was like staring, the defensive line up front on the D has carried Alabama now, and they've become kind of the bell cow of this team. You know that coming into the game, it's going to be impossible to stop him. And if you do stop him and you put too much emphasis on him, now all of a sudden he's got a bunch of friends that are getting back there. Dallas Turner, Drew Sanders, To'o's been a lot better. I mean, think about the way he's been attacking the running backs in the hole. Phil Mathis, this defensive line, which is led by Anderson, getting hungrier and hungrier. And, it's like Nick Saban said, hey, revenge or no revenge. I mean, look, it's motivated by the national championship. And guys, before we play Nick Saban, do us a favor, thumbs up, subscribe to the Bama Insider YouTube channel. This is Monday Night Quarterback, always brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominium. Let's hear from the ball coach, Nick Saban.
Adversity and resiliency through the course of the year, and really extremely proud of the way they've sort of put themselves in a position to have a chance to, win a championship. It's going to be a tremendous challenge for us to play against, I think one of the best teams or the best team in the country in terms of consistency and performance and how they played all year long. Georgia's got a really good team. They've got great balance on offense, defense, special teams. They've got really good specialists. So this is a really good all-around team. And preparation is going to be really important for us to go out there and be able to execute the way we need to be able to have any chance of success at all.
Thank you, Coach. As a reminder to anyone in the room, and if you'd like to ask a question, please use the raise hand function. We will unmute you when you're called upon. Our first question today will come from Tony Tuskayas.
Hey, Nick, the word warrior has been thrown around in your program a lot. It's been used as, a way to describe players. Just what does that tagline mean to you when you say it about a player, and how important is that for your team? How important is that label for your team?
Well, I think, the warrior mentality just is sort of a great, compliment to the kind of competitor, somebody is. I think it speaks to your intangibles, your effort, your intensity, your toughness, your ability to sustain, and, play with great energy and enthusiasm. So, it's to me the ultimate compliment, to a competitor to be a warrior, war daddy, whatever you want to call them. And that's something that we really try to get our players to buy into, because it does create tremendous value for them when they compete at that kind of level and with that kind of standard.
War daddy. Did you think that you were going to hear Nick Saban use the term war daddy today?
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't really know what that is, but when Nick Saban says it, it sounds cooler. So we can live with it.
Who was the guy that asked the question? I didn't recognize that.
I'm not sure. I need to. Yeah, that one didn't quite hit on it there, but
well, look,
tough last name.
I think what Nick Saban is saying there with this warrior mentality is what a lot of people use the term dog now. They talk about dogs, and it's the same thing. Being able to go out there and compete in the football game and be physical.
Yeah, I mean, this is Alabama, and this isn't the Alabama we've seen really from the time I got here, 2017 on, even before that a little bit, 2016, Jalen Hurts. That's kind of when the shift happened, and really for the game in general, we saw that shift. A lot more passes, a lot more touchdowns in general too. But Alabama at its core, especially under Nick Saban, is a defensive-minded team that runs the football a whole lot. In the playoff game, we saw Alabama at its finest. This team, I think you can execute better when you let Bryce Young throw the football and you get Jamison Williams activated and the rest of this receiving core and everybody else. But, Alabama can beat you in a lot of different ways. And somebody was asked today, I forget who, it might have been Will Anderson as part of his press conference, but they were kind of asking, how are you guys able to win in so many different ways? You win close games, you win high scoring games, you win low scoring games, you win in blowouts. What's kind of the answer to that? And, Will Anderson just talked about how, it's team by team, game by game, even play by play. This Alabama team has kind of been on a roller coaster this year with some injuries, just with the youth on this team as well, kind of figuring everything out.
Mm-hmm.
And, we talked about it throughout the year. Give this team time. Let them kind of get to know each other a little better. Let them develop. And we're seeing that come together now, especially on the defensive side of the football. I think it's a mentality thing. I think Nick Saban preaches all of this stuff and his guys believe all of this stuff. And they really do, exert that energy at practice. You see that, in our videos that we post to practice highlights, our YouTube page and everything else. But, I think it is really just the talent level of this group and the fact that they found a way to come together. I think they go out there and they play like dogs because they're dogs. I mean, you look at Will Anderson, that is a scary dude. Stetson Bennett, he's coming to take your head off, no doubt. But as a whole, as a unit, I think they've just kind of found a way to really mesh here in the most important part of the season. And maybe, it was 4th down and 7 at Auburn. Tank Bigsby having to step out of bounds, going winning that game in 4 overtimes. Maybe that was the flip. We were all, skipping a heartbeat at that point, but maybe that's what this team needed. And, we're seeing them in the national title now after beating Georgia and really, playing some good defense. So all signs are pointing up. Alabama's maybe the hottest team in the country right now. And, they're facing a super giant that's pretty hot themselves.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's to be a champion. There are so many things that are involved in it in college football, right? You got to be able to recruit, and you got to be able to get the guys on campus. They got to buy in. Obviously, that's the process for Alabama. Then you have to have the ability to coach them and develop that talent. And then you have to be able to game manage, right? And Nick Saban does all of those things extremely well. And he goes out and gets the best of the best to help in those area. And, it's kind of one of those things where you look at it and it is surprising to see that this young team is in this position, but they still have one more game to win. And if they don't win that game, unfortunately at Alabama, you're forgotten. That's just the way it is. It's I know, and it's unfair in a lot of ways, but you got to win the big one to be kind of put on that level of greatest of all time. And, with that said, let's play one more clip before we wrap it up tonight and talk about that one.
Yeah, this clip, another one from Will Anderson, it really goes in line with what you're saying. I mean, the expectations and the mentality and everything else that surrounds this program. We'll kind of touched on it well today. And, to just kind of add on to that, as well, it's crazy to think about just kind of the expectations of even the everyday fan. It's national title or bust. I remember times at Clemson where, if they would, make a BCS bowl game, that was the greatest thing in the world to make it to a game like that. Alabama, win or lose in this game, has had an incredible season. They have the Heisman winner, and, they've still only lost one game this whole year. It would be 2 if they lose to Georgia, but still, just an impeccable season. And, it might not be treated that way. Will Anderson kind of touching on the mentality and all of it.
Wondering, when you're being recruited by Alabama, obviously, if you're being recruited with a lot of other good players, you're going to win. And I know that's appealing. But how much does the idea of surrounding yourself with lots of other good players, even though it might make it a little tougher to play early, how much of that do you weigh in as just like being surrounded by other good players will make me better no matter what the results are here?
For me, I think that's why one of the biggest things of why I came to Alabama, just coming from high school to here, was I wanted to surround myself by people that had the same mindset as me, same competitive nature as me, same standard expectations for me, no matter the outcome of what I was playing or not. I know I was going to be surrounded by great men, great coaches, great people in the facility. And, I think it helps a lot. No matter if you're playing or not, you get a chance to see how people compete. If you come here and you don't know how to compete, you get to see how to compete so it can help you. You get to see how to overcome adversity, because there's been so much adversity at Alabama for people that came adversity here. You get to see so much here, and it really helps you a lot in life. And I think a lot of recruits don't understand that, being in college football, you're going to have some type of adversity. And I mean, when you come to Alabama, you're going to see all types of adversity, and it really helps you with real life. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges that I took by coming here, being able to compete, go against the best every day, and it's helped me so far.
There it is. And he said kind of exactly what we were thinking.
Yeah, I mean, what a great clip. What just a great young man. I mean, this dude is a walking soundbite every day. I mean, like you said, we love hearing his press conferences for the stuff like this, for the funny stuff as well. But, really just kind of wears his heart on his sleeve when, when he gets to the mic there and just kind of breaks it down. I love, him talking about the process and why you come to Alabama and the things that you gain here. And, it really does all sound like a huge billboard, like, these guys are getting paid to say this or something like that. But it's just not the case. I mean, the results speak for themselves. You win national titles at Alabama, you get drafted out of Alabama. You may have to wait your turn. It's not always going to be the easiest thing in the world. From what I've heard, from what I've seen at practice, it looks pretty challenging. But it's worth it at the end of the day. And being part of this program for the last, 11, 12 years now has just meant a lot more than being part of maybe a Georgia or a Texas A&M or a lot of other programs around the country.
Guys, like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up as we talk to you. Monday Night Quarterback with Trey Yanity. I'm Mick Gillispie. Also would love to get a follow on Twitter as well, at Broadcaster Mick. Always there to answer any questions that we don't get to here and talk sports, whether it be Alabama football or something else. All right, Trey, look, it's been a lot of fun getting to the end of the show. Anything that you want to talk about that we didn't get to? And also, what do you have on tap for us this week on the Bama Insider YouTube channel?
Hey, how about the snow? I mean, this came out of nowhere. We were looking at 75, 80 degrees this weekend. And, up here, it's been kind of snowing these last 2 days. So, everybody stay safe. Don't get out and drive on the ice. Enjoy the rest of the holiday season. 12 days of Christmas still going on. So enjoy all of that. And Happy New Year if you haven't heard it from me yet. But, another loaded week. We got our score prediction show coming up on Thursday night. I got to see my guy, Jersey Dolphins, there because I told him I would give my prediction, but I can't let it up until then. Join us on Thursday night. We're going to have our tailgate show coming up before the game as well. A lot of press conferences and, other little videos we're going to kind of supplement throughout the week to really cover this thing in every aspect of it. And if you guys, have any ideas or want anything, on our YouTube page or anything you have for the message boards, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter and, of course, follow that page as well. Like, subscribe, comment, do all of the, do all of that. And, thank you for supporting Bama Insider. It has been an incredible season, but hey, it's not done yet. We got one more.
Yeah, unbelievably, there's still one game left. And I want to remind all you guys again that we're brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums. There it is, right next to Bryant-Denny Stadium. I can see Chris Daltrey and Trey Yanity up there in line to get some of the food that they have, which is amazing on game day. There's Jillian there, right there. Look at her. Her hospitality team is absolutely amazing. If you're in the market to buy, maybe you want to live in Tuscaloosa, or maybe even as a rental, you need to check this place out. Or if you're coming to town and you want somewhere to stay and you want to be right in the heart of everything, Westgate Luxury Condominiums. You talk about parking. You talk about the spacious balconies, oversized balconies. You talk about the Skygate Club. That's where we were hanging out for our post-game shows this year. On the roof right next to Bryant-Denny. As a matter of fact, we would see what was going on in the game before it was on television because it was on the in-house monitors, and we could see them from where we were seated right next to the stadium, right? You're near Bryant-Denny, 200 feet away. You're near the Strip. You're near the Walk of Champions. You're near the Quad, next to campus. Anything that you want to do in Tuscaloosa is right there. You talk about units that go from 900 to 3,000 square feet, the oversized balconies, the incredible kitchens, which are just amazing with all the best amenities in there. and they have units from 1 to 5 bedroom available. WestgateAL.com. That's all you need to know. Check it out for yourself, WestgateAL.com for more information, and we appreciate them bringing you Monday Night QB.
Real quick, Mick, before we get out of here, I got to address King Campbell. He's been asking about the 3-point underdog all night long. Sorry about it that we haven't gotten to it yet. You know what? Honestly, I think Nick Saban drove to Las Vegas, Nevada, took out a loan, got all of the money out of his bank account, and put it all on Georgia to swing that line to give his team some yummy rat poison. So that's just my take on it. I think it's a conspiracy, but not too sure why it's a 3-point underdog. Thanks for being here tonight, Ken Campbell. Had to get to that one before we close it out, but that's all I got.
Yeah, no, I hear you. The reason why Georgia's favored in the game is because they have dominated every single game they played except Alabama. And I guess Vegas feels like Georgia is the more complete team. They think that Georgia has a better defense than Alabama. They think that Georgia just went into that game against the Crimson Tide in Atlanta and underestimated Alabama. And they feel like with the revenge factor, with Georgia's defense, with the 4 running backs, with Alabama's problems on the right side of their offensive line, and the secondary that has some injuries, that Georgia's going to win. Or at least they feel like Georgia is the team that when people bet, they would bet them as a favorite. So we kind of got into that earlier in the show. But look, it works. I think that they should be favorite. I know I watched Alabama kick the crap out of them, and I think Alabama's going to do it again, by the way. But when you look at what Georgia's done to every single other team along the way, there hasn't been any close games. So they've had all of that time to look at how they played against Alabama. The biggest thing to me was that Georgia didn't take Alabama serious enough to dial up blitzes, to dial up pressure. And I think that's going to change this time around, except I think that Alabama is going to be ready for it. I think that Georgia missed their opportunity to get Alabama while they were down. They're not down anymore, and they're really confident. And the problem that Georgia has is a style issue, is that they're slow, methodical, turtle-type offense. If they fall behind, they're in big trouble. And we've seen that before because Alabama's going to spread them out. They're going to go fast. Maybe not having John Mechie will hurt the Crimson Tide, but I see where Vegas is coming from. Yeah. And, 3 points, I wasn't really surprised. I didn't think Alabama would be a favorite. But honestly, like you said, yummy rat poison, it's just the formula that Nick Saban needs to preach to these guys. Not only is this for a national championship, but they still don't think you're good enough.
They never will.
Chris Daughtry, thank you, my man. Doing a great job behind the scenes. And for Trey Yanity, I'm Mick Gillispie. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you for hanging out with us on Monday Night Quarterback. We got a whole bunch of stuff coming up. Anytime Nick Saban speaks, we'll have it for you on the YouTube channel. And our the big pregame show, the Bama Insider Tailgate Show. I got some really, really good guests lined up. That'll be on Sunday night. And between now and then, we got a bunch of stuff going on. And we look forward to talking to you then. And then after the game on Monday, right back here, we'll have our post-game show. We'll be taking your reactions. We'll have a call-in show this week. We got a lot of stuff going on. So roll Tide. Thanks for watching. And we'll talk to you again real soon.